Welcome to another episode of Locked On Bulls. I'm Haize. That's Pat the designer. On today's episode, we'll be going over some of the keys in a Game 2 preview for the Chicago Bulls versus the Milwaukee Bucks. All that and more on today's Locked On Bulls.
You are Locked On Bulls, your daily podcast on the Chicago Bulls. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to another Locked On Bulls. Pat, we've had 2 days, 2 whole entire American days to marinate on a loss. Before we head into Game 2, this is one of the interesting times where there's so much time between the two games that it adds a lot of perspective. And so, we're going to do our preview of Game 2 tonight. So just starting it off, what do you think are going to be some of the things that we need to key in on Game 2?
I mean, it's still a lot of the things from Game 1, right? But I think it confirms it. You got to knock down shots. I mean, how many times can we say that? You got to knock down shots. It's the NBA, yo. You have to knock down shots. But the biggest thing, right, is to me, this can't be a game like we've seen from Zach LaVine on the Norm, where normally we've seen a lot of Zach, hey, I'm going to let everybody else get involved, let them get themselves going because I know I can turn that switch on right away. Got to go fast. Starting the game, I want to see Zach LaVine being aggressive. I want to see him attacking the bucket. I want to see him getting that pick and roll going with Vooch because there's a lot of success in that. And there's a lot of options off of that, right? You either take the pick and roll, you roll with it, you attack the basket. Or you take it, maybe play a little pick and pop even, kick it out to Vooch. He's going to have to take threes, y'all. I know everybody hates it. 2 for 10. He shouldn't be shooting threes. He has to. Like, they're going to give them to him. He has to shoot them. That's why you brought Vooch here. Vooch was a good three-point shooter. He's having a very down year at it this season. But the biggest thing for me is going to be Zach LaVine off of that, creating so many different options. And I really want to see him with the ball in his hand a lot more than we've seen him with the ball in his hand in these situations, right? And I get it, right? I will admit Zach's handle is not the greatest. That is the one thing I would love to see him work on going into what would this be, year 9? You know what I'm saying? By year 9 you ain't got the handle, it might not become, but in year 9 for him, that's the one thing I'd like to see him improve on. But I feel like so much movement and action is created off of Zach LaVine being aggressive. You find those guys on the three-point line. You find those guys in the paint. Guys collapse onto you. Now you can kick it down to Vooch in the paint, where we already know, and we've talked about on this show extensively, all the things that Vooch can do when he's able to get it going, being aggressive in the paint and finding other shooters. Of course, you want to get the shot down, but listen, this Milwaukee Bucks team is going to come out very, very different. And you saw in Game 1, in those crucial moments, in those crunch moments, you're not going to get the call. But now you've set the tempo. You've set the tone in Game 1. The Bulls came out, they gave them their best punch. It didn't knock them out. You set the tone in Game 1. Now they're going to come back to you with that same tone, if not more. Can you raise the bar again? That's what we got to see from this Bulls team.
That's really everything you mentioned there is the nail on the head several times. I mean, a pick and pop with Zach LaVine and Nikola Vucevic, while seems very simple, can be very dangerous, especially in playoff basketball, because just what those two players can do off of pick and pop, there's about 10 possibilities off that, right?
Yeah.
And so when you add ball movement on there as well from the players around them, that can be a very dangerous engine to a much larger offense. Now, do we see them do that? Ball movement has been one of the things that I've been talking about, I feel like, since December with this team. And it's like,
ever since Caruso and Lonzo went out.
Man, it's like, come on, man. This is simple. We learned this in dang Pee Wee. But it's so if they can do that, it definitely makes this offense a lot more dangerous. And as much as DeMar, and I don't know, hats off to DeMar what he did this season. Hat off to DeMar for King of the Fourth. But that ISO ball, it does not work in the playoffs, and I don't foresee it working in the playoffs with this team because it makes this team so much easier to guard. Now, DeMar can still be very much part of a dangerous offense, but this running through DeMar thing, I don't think is going to be effective for the Bulls, especially not against the Milwaukee Bucks. So, we talked about it yesterday. We both made Zach our key player who struggled in the last game, who can really be important for a Bulls win in game two. But really, when you look at it, Zach LaVine and Nikola Vucevic are so important to what the Bulls can do if to make the series interesting, much less win the series. It has to be both of those guys really being key, locked in, and playing very well.
Yeah.
We need DeMar. We need DeMar also, but we need the players that aren't necessarily scorers on this team to move without the ball, to try to get them easier looks at the bucket, to try to get them, easier transition bucket slashing, things like that, but also to hit their wide open shots. There's a big difference between saying shoot the ball better and hit open shots. And
Yeah.
I think sometimes we conflate the two into one. Yes, we need to see both happen, but if they can hit the open shots,
Yeah.
it really goes a long way as well, because we're seeing the Bulls miss wide open shots. And then if you hit the open shots, your confidence hopefully comes along to where you're shooting the ball better overall too. Those are some of the things that I'm looking forward to in game two, and seeing if this team can get better, because like I said last time, as much talk as Billy Donovan, and I've been one of the most voicious people on Billy Donovan's lack of adjustments. Listen, Billy Donovan made some big adjustments for us in the
He
second half
was.
of last game. That's why we were in that game. That's why we played much better defense. Yes, Milwaukee still didn't shoot the ball as well, but the Bulls did a lot of things different defensively in that second half that helped them be successful. So,
And this is a game, right, where for me it's about how much does winning matter to DeMar, or does being the reason you win matter to DeMar? And there's two
mhm.
different things there, right? Like I think that the Bulls can win, and I think the Bulls can win with DeMar being a part of that. But I don't know if they can win in this situation with DeMar being the head of that, just because DeMar's an amazing guy, and if his mid range is falling, feed him. Like I'll never take that away from him. Like even in some of those Milwaukee games, when his mid range is falling, you had to feed him because he's knocking that mug down. He can go off for 30, 40, 50, right? Keep getting the ball to him. But to me, right, I saw something in last night's game versus the Memphis Grizzlies in Minnesota that showed me how much winning matters to certain players over getting the accolades and being the guy. Steven Adams, a guy that plays 28 minutes plus for that team, played 2 minutes. Why? Because he can't guard Cat. Because he saw what his effect was on the game in the first game, and he realizes that winning this series is more important than him being the reason. That doesn't mean that down the line that you can't be a bigger reason, but I think in this situation, right, I want to see DeMar kind of allow that option with Zach and Vooch feeding off to everybody else, being the guys that are bringing it up. I'm not saying play DeMar 2 minutes, but bringing it up to everybody else and allowing everybody else to get it going for themselves. And then you find your way to get in there and be effective with what you do well, right? Like I feel like you said, the ISO ball sometimes comes and the ball becomes stagnant, and now players aren't ready for their moment. Is that an excuse for those players? No, you should always be ready. But when you've got Kobe White, who's been a sporadic shooter, when you've got Io DeSumo, who struggled with his shot down the stretch at the end of the season, you got to allow those guys to get going. We want DeMar to get going as well, but I feel like DeMar can get going if he chooses his spots better, and you get going a lot easier if the rest of your team is cooking and they can't just pack the paint.
It's 100% true. The inability to pack the paint against a team that doesn't have all the best 3-point shooters is key,
Yeah.
right? Um, So we do need to see that team play well. One thing that I do want to point out before we go into our first break too is I know Alex Caruso looked like he may have gotten hurt at the end of game one. He's not on the injury report. Only players listed on the injury report are Lonzo Ball and Matt Thomas. I don't know how we're going to win without our white sliced bread, but you know what? Nonetheless, I'm glad that Alex Caruso is
What
not listed on the
I'm
injury report
actually a
anymore.
little concerned. What's really wrong with Matt Thomas? Matt Thomas has had this injury for a minute. What happened to him?
He had to get a splinter sitting on the bench or something, bro.
Bro, like I'm actually concerned about my man. I'm not gonna
Yeah.
lie to you. Listen, I ain't saying I want him out there, but we could have used him.
This is very true.
When you
This is
started
very
seeing
true.
everybody missing, I could have used at least 2 minutes of Matt Thomas to be like, see what he's got.
I feel you. I feel you. So next up, we're going to be talking about how the Chicago Bulls will return to Chicago if they're able to pull out a win. But before we get into that, I got to talk to you guys about Shady Rays. Shady Rays is an independent glasses company that gives you the features of 200 glasses for a fraction of the price. That means polarized lenses, well-constructed durable frames, and premium high-end finishes. Also, something you won't find anywhere else is Shady Rays' insane protection program. Shady Rays includes lost and broken protection on every pair. They will send you a brand new pair if you lose them, no matter what happened. Give them a try, and if you don't love them, you'll pay nothing. It's as simple as that. Plus, 10 meals are donated to fight hunger in America when you shop with Shady Rays. Exclusively for our listeners, head to shadyrays.com and use code Locked On to get 50% off 2 or more pairs of polarized sunglasses. That's code Locked On for their best deal of the season. 50% off 2 or more pairs of Shady Ray sunglasses backed by over 150,000 verified 5-star reviews. Listen, Pat, I don't know about you, man, but you throw in charity to just about anything, you just about got me, man. They're doing 10 meals, 10 meals to fight hunger. Come
Hey,
on, man.
hey,
That's
shout out
crazy.
to them.
Shout out to
Shout
Shady
out to them.
Rays, man. Shout out to Shady Rays. But all right, next up, we're gonna get into how the Chicago Bulls return to Chicago after a win. Pat, what do you what? Hey, what is going to be the excitement level in the city of Chicago if the Chicago Bulls are able to pull this one out against the Milwaukee Bucks?
That's the biggest reason why the Bulls need this win, right? You have to juice the UC. I don't think, like, you got to remember, like, these guys haven't really seen what playoff basketball in Chicago looks like. The United Center is going to be rocking, shaking, vibrating, legitimately vibrating, right? Like, for me, the biggest thing they can do going into this, if they come out of this with a win, you not only put Miami on their back foot, now the series starts, right? Like, I can't, my chair dropped too far. I can't do it. Now the series starts, right? Like, now you're talking about this series as, like they always say, the team that gets the first road win,
That's
that's
when
when
the
the
series
series
starts.
starts.
Yep.
Now you're talking about going home 1-1 to a UC that is literally going to be rocking. They're not going to be able to hear themselves think. They're not going to be able to understand what's going on the court because they've never seen. I mean, Giannis probably has seen the UC like that. But I don't think anybody else on that team is well, I know Giannis has seen the UC like that because he played against us in 2015. But I don't think
Yeah.
anybody else has seen the UC that way. That is such an advantage. When Bulls fans are in there and they're excited about their team and they really feel like they have a chance, dog, that played such a part in that Boston series. That played such a part in that Milwaukee series the last time we played them, man. It gets a lot of people off of their rocker because it's like, oh snap, what the heck is this? And on top of that, right now you've got them to the point where now they understand, oh, they can beat us. At a minimum, a game. We can't give them another one. Now you might get them to the point where they're trying to do everything they can to slow you down. Now, here's the thing. The defending NBA champions and one of the best defensive teams in the NBA is going to try to slow you down. That's still a tough battle. It's an uphill fight. It just is. But at a minimum, right, like the biggest thing the Bulls can do right now is put themselves in a position where they can be successful at home. At a minimum, you're taking one of two at home. But I'm going to be honest with you, right? Like, I feel like there's a mental block here. Because if you look at this, if you look at Milwaukee, like, let's be real. They are an extremely tough team. They have legitimately the best player in the NBA on their team, in my opinion. Most unstoppable dude in the NBA on their team. But I can't say the Bulls can't stay on the court with them.
Yeah.
I can't say the Bulls can't compete with them. That says a lot about this team. And I feel like there's a mental block in their mind. They know the record. Hey, we've never beaten a good team. We've never done this. Again, you kind of saw Caruso at the end of that game, right? He goes down to one knee. Seemed like he was just exasperated, like we did everything we could, and we still couldn't get this dub. They know what the record is. I think that could play a little bit. And if you finally break that curse, you never know what the flood's going to be coming after that.
Yeah. That's all great points. I wonder, and then when you throw in on top of that, not only just getting past this team, the defending champions, but getting your first playoff victory for a lot of these players in their first playoff series, right? What confidence is that unlocked? I already do think, and maybe, and he may come out and go 0 for 6, and then people may be like, "Oh, how do you think about that now, Haize?" But I think Kobe playing the way that he did in Game 1, for some reason, I'm not worried about Kobe anymore. Kobe, who went 0 for 26 for 3-pointer at one point.
Yeah.
For some reason, I'm not worried about Kobe. I think Kobe's going to come in and do well within the role that he has, right? I'm not saying he's going to come in necessarily and have one of those 9 for 10 nights from 3-point range or anything where he just goes off and saves the game. But I do think that Kobe, maybe in his role coming off the bench, has said, "Hey, listen, I came out and I kind of did my thing last game."
Yeah. I'm not
So,
gonna begrudge Kobe at all. Like
yeah.
he did a lot of things. Here's the thing that people look at Kobe White for the 3-point shooting, and I get it. If he's not shooting the 3 ball well, what's he doing on the court? But he's got so much else to do on this team. He played
Yeah.
good defense. He played excellent help defense. He really did. He attacked the rim. He I don't want to say like he shot the ball well, because 2 for 6 from the 3-point line isn't well, but I'll say he hit some crucial shots for this Bulls team. Gives you the go-ahead 3, right? So, like,
Mhm.
for me, those are the biggest things that he has to take from it. Like, at this point, it's the playoffs. Black out all the bad.
Yeah.
Only the good exists. In my opinion, you know what I'm saying? Like I feel like even with like Ayo DeSumo, a win in this game on the road, right? You come back to the UC where normally your young guys are a little bit more confident. How do you think that that'll affect them coming back? Just the bench pieces, Ayo, P. Will, Kobe White, of course, we talked about. But you know what I'm saying? Like I feel like that's huge if you're able to get a Game 2 win and you're coming back home and now they're confident in their ability in this game. That could change the series altogether.
Having swag coming into your own building, right? Having any type of momentum that you can point to and say, "Hey, and we're going back to the crib."
Yeah.
That like, it changes some things for you. Makes everything play a little bit looser for you. And then like you said, to have the UC rocking, have the UC feeling some type of energy that this team, "Hey, listen, did we just still one in Milwaukee? We just stole one in Milwaukee, right? All right, well, we about to be fired up tonight." You're gonna see people with their face painted. You're gonna see people wearing Bulls jerseys that are about 10, 15 years old and a little too tight. You're gonna be seeing all that in the United Center, and
Heinrich.
and
I
it's
got Heinrich
all
in here.
it's all part of the experience of a United Center playoff game, man.
Yes.
And it's, I don't want to say that because I know that those type of things happen in every arena, in every sport, so to say, but you know, it's something so different about the UC in the playoffs. I've gotten to go to, ever in my life, only 2 playoff games in the UC, and when I tell you that was both during the Derrick Rose era, that it's just, they use the word electric, and I know it gets used very oftenly, but that's exactly what it is, bro. Like, it's just a different feel, fam. And to get those players to feel that coming in the building with some confidence, not using it as a pick me up, right? Because it's
Yeah.
different when you come in after a loss and you use it to kind of pick your spirits up when your spirits are already high, and you get to ride that electricity. Every bucket, the Bulls fans are going to be screaming like it's a game-winning bucket every day. You talk about what Patrick Beverly did after winning that playing game. Those are Bulls fans in the UC during a playoff game in which the Bulls are leading every single basket.
Hey, you beat the defending champs, by the way. You get to cry a little bit after.
Oh yeah, for sure.
You
Yeah,
get to
yeah.
cry a little bit after. That's
After the second half of the season, listen, I'm
yeah.
Bulls fans too. Listen, I'm telling you guys right now, this is your therapy second. If you let out a little bit of tear, if the Bulls beat the defending champions in the playoff game, it's okay.
No judgment.
I'm probably gonna
No
let out a
judgment.
little tear. I'm not
I'm
gonna
here
lie,
for you.
man.
I'm here for you. I'm probably not gonna cry. I'm
Bro,
probably
it
not.
depends on how it happens. If Zach goes off for 40 and we win, listen.
Hey, this is the thing. I'm doing it live, so if I cry, that's on video forever. Like, it's gonna be like, remember that Bulls fan that was crying? Like me, I remember that. I remember
Well,
that.
listen, at least you got your caption for your viral moment. Bulls fan cries after
Bulls fan
victory.
cries after a dub. Thank you. Bees Rice, Jesus Christ, and Jordan.
There you go. There you go.
Hey, man, we gonna keep it pushing out here, man. Appreciate you guys for tuning in and rocking with us as always. And we want to tell you guys about Built Bar, man. Listen, we've told you so much about Built Bar every single day on here. I'm tired of asking y'all, have y'all tried the puffs? Ain't nobody let me know in the comments below if they've tried the puffs yet. If you haven't, at this point, you're missing out. Built Bar is the best tasting bar. And the puffs are the first ever protein infused marshmallow. They're fluffy, they're marshmallowy. They're not just a protein bar. They are a treat, and they're covered in 100% real chocolate. You heard it here right. 100% real chocolate. It's a low calorie, high protein replacement for your candy bars. Typical candy bar got what, Haize? 240 calories, 30 grams, dozen net carbs. Most Built Bars contain 130 calories, 4 grams of sugar, 4 net carbs, and 17 grams of protein. That's in a marshmallow, my guy. Y'all understand what I'm saying right now? At Built Bar, they're all about making it taste good. They make it taste delicious first, and then they figure out how to make it healthy. I don't know how they do it, but they do it every single time. So here's what I need y'all to do. Go to Built.com and use the promo code LOCKED15 to get 15% off your order. Again, that is Built.com with the promo code LOCKED15 for 15% off. Let's get back to the show.
All right, let's get back into it. So we talked about how the Bulls returned to Chicago after a win. How do they return to Chicago after a loss, bro?
Pressing. You're down 0-2 to the NBA champions. You're doing everything you can to not go down 0-3, and it's going to put a lot more pressure on your team than you probably need, right? Like a team that has been in these pressure-filled moments. Now, it also depends on how you lose in your game too, right? If you feel like you're right there, you feel like you competed, maybe the home floor is what gives you that energy, and it's absolutely not over in that situation, right? Like if we lose game 2 the same way we lost game 1, I don't feel like the Bulls come back home thinking they can't get one on their home floor. I feel like the Bulls come back home thinking we're right there. We're right there. We just need a little bit more. And I think even the fans at the UC would still be vibing and rocking with them, trying to will them to that win right along with them, right? So the biggest thing in that situation is what you have in place. Having those guys like Alex Caruso, having those guys like Tristan Thompson, having those guys like, even at this point, DeMar DeRozan, right, who have been in this situation, in this first round, have been in situations where, yeah, hey, this is going to be tough. It's not going to be an easy. It's going to be an uphill climb. We absolutely have to fight our way back into this. But you've got those guys that have been there and understand what it takes to get there. I think in that situation, right, like you're just hoping that your team wakes up, because you're in those moments, you're in a dogfight, and now you're going home and you're hoping that being at home, sleeping in your own bed, which, I mean, it's Milwaukee, they probably still sleeping in their own bed, but sleeping in your own bed and just being back in the environment that you're used to, the rims that you're used to shooting on all the time, wakes you up and gets you that game 3 win. Because at that point, now it's back against the wall. Now you're like a caged animal. And I'll tell you this right now. Those are the most dangerous teams in the NBA. There's no more dangerous team than the team that's about to face elimination. There's no more dangerous team than the team that, I mean, in that sense, right? It feels like if you go and come back to the UC down 0-2, it feels like you're facing elimination in that third game, don't you think?
Yeah. That third game could definitely feel like an elimination game.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, you don't come back from 3-0. You don't come back from 3-0. So.
Not without LeBron.
Yeah. So,
well, I guess he was 3-1, wasn't he? He didn't
3-1, not 3-0. That's what
he
I'm
didn't
saying,
even
right?
come back for 3-0. Yeah, that's an uphill climb that's ridiculously tough. And so, I mean, for me, just don't put yourself in that position. You know what I'm saying? Like the biggest thing that the Bulls can do in this situation, even if you lose game 2, is to not put yourself in the mindset that this is over. Never put yourself in the mindset that this is over. Because I think that this team does have the talent, and I'll be honest with you, they have the right style of players to play against this Milwaukee team, but it's about executing, and we need them to execute. And in a situation like that, you know, in a game 2 loss, you probably feel like they didn't execute, unless it's just one of those games like a 130, 125 game, you know what I'm saying? Or a 110, 109 game where like everything was clicking and they're still better than you. And I think that can be to me, that's the thing that could hurt you the most. You do everything right and you just don't have the talent. That could be the moment that might demoralize you the most.
That's absolutely true. You want to avoid being completely demoralized. The Bulls need to compete in game 2 regardless. So of course, we want to see a dub. We think that looking at last game, that they can realistically get a
I
dub.
think they can get one.
Yeah, they can get a dub.
I'm predicting we get one. I'm not gonna lie to you.
I haven't been predicting wins and losses literally since like January because this team's been so far up and down. But I will say this. You know what? F it. I'm going to go on record and say the Bulls win a close game 2.
Hey, we all
I'm
in
going
here.
on
Bulls
record and say
dub.
the Bulls,
See Red Nation, stand up.
the Bulls are going to win a close game 2, and then we're going to get to ride in with some great momentum. It could very well both get snatched from us by Milwaukee winning both games in Chicago, but I don't know, man. There was something about that win, that loss, even walking away from that game, that was just like, listen, all I could focus on is we could have won that. We definitely could have won that.
And here's the thing: the players are focusing on that.
Yeah.
The team is I don't feel like that's a bad thing when you feel like one got away from you.
Yeah.
That's the Milwaukee Bucks.
Yeah.
They're the team that went out there and beat Kevin Durant. They're the team that went out there and they beat Trae Young. They're the team that went out there, although based on how them was looking now, it might not be as big a feat as it was last season.
Yeah, that's why each season is his own beast, because that
yeah, dog. He looking.
The young looking mighty mortal right now, bro.
Ice Trae is chilled right now. My boy, he's 2 for 10. Good Lord, brother. But no, it's one of those things where, to me, right, getting a win over that team could propel so much heading back to the United Center. It's almost right. I would have loved to take game 1 because of how close it is. But before we get out of here, because of how it lines up, right, would a game 2 win be more beneficial to this Bulls team? Because all we hoped for in Milwaukee was a split.
Yeah.
But would a game 2 win heading back to the UC be more beneficial to this team than if we had have taken game 1?
Absolutely. Absolutely, because then you ride in with the because it's possible the Bulls could have won that game 1 and could have got smacked in the face in game 2, and then we're coming back to Chicago like, well, we did win in game 1.
Game 1 was
game
interesting.
2, exactly. Getting to ride that momentum coming back into Chicago is literally like, I don't know if there's anything that the Bulls can do better for their momentum, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, 100%. I'm right there with you, my boy. I feel like that's that's the best situation we can be in. You know what I'm saying? Like, with 2 games at home as well, like, it would be tough. But man, like that momentum and finally breaking that barrier. Now, this is just me being a C-Red Nation. I understand. Don't worry about it. Shut up, all you Bucks fans that are going to watch this. But that momentum literally could take you to the point where you're finally like, hey, we can handle these guys. We're meant to be here. And you could see the Bulls take a 3-1 win coming out of Chicago. A game 2 win to me means that much.
Yeah, I mean, I would say this. If the Bulls can win game 2, and then even come out of Chicago with a 2-2 split, that's listen, I take that.
It'd be tough, right? Because then they still got the chance to beat you
at
back
home,
in Milwaukee.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Even if you come out of, like, for me, right, I said the series was going to go 4-2. I said it was going to be a 4-2 series. Bucks would come out with a win. But I feel like if you go back to Milwaukee and they have a chance to, of course, defend their home court, and then you come back to Chicago and you're up 3-2, that's your best chance to win this series. Because if it gets to 7, I'd say I'm proud of my team. I'm not gonna lie.
But you know what? The way that this wouldn't it be such a great turnaround if the Bulls were to win game 7 at away in Milwaukee?
Bro, first off, the city would shake. My live stream wouldn't be able to take it. You might, dog, a game set. Now I said, listen, I said if the Bulls won the series, I wouldn't cry. A game 7 series win over the defending, you might catch me. You might catch me shedding a tear. I ain't gonna lie to you. I'm a little more emotional since my daughter been born. You know what I'm saying? Stuff be getting me all of a sudden. You know, Mufasa went down. I used to be able to suck it back in. Now the tear kind of fall. Don't worry about it. If I spoiled that for you, you too young for this podcast.
Yeah, and then also, if you thought he was talking about the live action version, you too
oh
young for
my
this
God.
podcast.
All right. We got to get out of here.
All right, man. Well, go ahead and give him social media, man. Let's get up out of here.
Hey, man, follow me on everything at Pat the Designer. That's PATTHEDESIGNER. Yes, I did go to public school, but my mama taught me how to spell, and they did too. Also, follow us on everything at Locked On Bulls, man. We had a video up there, just a clip of last week's pod, or yesterday's pod last week. Yesterday's pod, man, and that mug took off, so make sure you got us on the IG and on the Twitter.
Yep, and you can follow me at CEO Haize at CEOHAIZE. Hopefully next time we catch you guys, we'll be catching you guys after a dub. And thank you for making Locked On Bulls your first listen. Now, for your second listen, go listen to Locked On NBA. From the first jump ball in the play-in tournament to the last possession of the finals, Locked On experts take you deep inside the playoffs with insight and analysis affecting all 30 teams. Available wherever podcasts are available. For Pat, I'm Haize. This has been Locked On Bulls, and we out.
Peace, JB y'all. With a dub. Bulls,
another
follow
dub.
suit.